W. There's got to be an acronym that means really expensive to fix. What I'm trying to do right now is turn my heater off, and I just ate some cashew, cranberry, and almond hoops. The lens is on the side of the phone. I've got to get a tripod. I've got to look on Craigslist or eBay or Amazon and get a tripod with a holder, because this pivoting things, setting it on top of containers, is for the birds. What I'm trying to do is turn the heater off on my V12 gas guzzling. Luckily gas is 2.5 a gallon. I'm trying to turn the heater off, and I watched a video. I wrote down the guy's name here that made this really good video, very descriptive. BMW heater valve, Iseta's Rock, as in BMW Isetta, the one that was, what, 3 cylinders with a door in the middle that flipped open like a cockpit of an airplane. Iseta's Rock made a really good video, and I followed his instructions. I've got my found in the trash power tester with an extra long cord. Let's see, where do I have it clamped on? I have it clamped on to nothing. And the place to clamp it onto, there's actually not a lot of place to clamp it onto, because the alligator clip only opens 1/4 inch. So you clamp it onto the stud, and then there's the wire connector. There's 3. I've got to put my glasses on because I can't count more than 3 connectors. There's 3 dried rubber insulated wires, 2 in the front that face the front of the vehicle, 1, 2, and 1 on the back. And according to this fellow, Iseta's Rock, the back is the common or ground. It's a brown wire with a blue line, and the power ones, because there's 2 heaters in this car, a passenger and a driver, the power ones is yellow with brown or brown with yellow, and the other one is brown with something. And everything here is all cracked, but I've been testing it while you were sleeping, and I got to do a bit of research here and figure out why. I'm not getting any power or ground, which is not good. So I'm going to turn the key forward. I've already got the fan set to high because it's the only position it works on. And let's test to make sure we actually have power, and the power happens to be right there. There's the lug for boosting the car. So the fan's on high, and I'm not sure if the engine has to be running, but the problem is I don't even have a ground here. That should light up the tester if, oh wait a minute, no, sorry, I gotta do this the other way. I'm not good with 12 volt electrics. I'm great with 110 or 220 or 120 and 240. So now I've got that on power, so if I ground my test lamp, just to make sure everything's working, the test lamp is working. If I put it to the back terminal against the windshield, I should get a ground, which shows me that the heater valve is getting ground. I sound like a teacher. And if I put this on a ground, the alligator clip on the other end of the test lamp, when I put it to either one of these 2 terminals, I should get a lamp. And I've got nothing nowhere, no positives, no grounds. So I'm going to crank this V12 baby up. Maybe the engine has to be running. I've got the heater set to auto, the controls set to the highest setting. And these valves are normally open, which means they allow coolant to circulate. So they close when you don't want coolant. So the fail-safe mode is valves open, so you get heat. The problem is, in the summer, if the valves fail, or the rubber seals, or the magnetic coil fails, you get heat. So let's see now. I should have power here, nothing, because I've got it grounded. Let's just make sure my tester's working. I should have power there, nothing. And let's see if I have ground. Now sometimes the Japanese always power their little items, and they control it with a ground. So I've got no ground there. And nothing, no how. Let's ground it, make sure it works. Yes, it does. So, one more thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to also check the fuses. One more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of the leads from this piece of crap tester, this $10 tester. Look at that, the rubber's already cracking. I bought some booster cables from China probably 10 years ago. I never use them, once in a blue moon, and the insulation's just falling apart, just disintegrating. Kind of like this BMW installation, but this has been subject to underhood heat and California sun for almost 20 years. So, where is my heater solenoid fuse? Stoplight, high beam, headlight flasher, right side parking light, turning fog lights, horn, windshield washer pump, windscreen heating, air conditioning compressor, low beam, right low beam, mirror adjustment, washer jet heating, shock absorbers, adjustable. They work. The back end goes up when you crank this baby up. Left high beam, right high beam, windscreen wipers, independent heater, front seat heating. Is front seat heating, seat heaters? Yep. It should be cabin heater or interior heating. Instrument panel, electric windows, radio, system heat, front seat adjustments, heater blower, 19. Instrument cluster, heater, heater electronics, 21. Let's check for 21. Let's ground this. Let's see if we got current on both sides of 21. Much like my oil pan bolts, the guy put silicone to stop the leak. Well, tighten the bolts. Duh. I've got juice on both sides of the fuse, which means my fuse is getting power from the bus bar and it's sending it down the line. Instrument cluster heater. Let's try 20. I don't think the instrument cluster has a heater, so I'm getting juice at the instrument cluster heater, fuse 20, and the heater electronics, fuse 21. Right there. Fuse 20 and 21 are working as they should. And I should have 7.5 amp fuses, and I've got a 30 in 21, and that should be a 7.5. Wow, that's a monster. I'm going to change that number 21 to a heater electronics 7.5 amp. That one right there is way too big. I'm going to melt my wires. But that doesn't solve the problem. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this engine off because it's making heat. The clutch fan's working. Yeah, it turns on and off. Never gets hot. The temperature gauge stays a fraction above the center. And I've used a bit of coolant, but over the whole trip, I used 3/4 of a gallon. I think a quarter of that gallon went on the ground when they took off this hose clamp to try to straighten it. It was crooked, and out went the coolant. Luckily, not over me. What I'm going to do is, and this is when I wish I had that tripod. What I'm going to do, if I can balance this whole apparatus here without it tipping over, I'm going to try send some current with this crappy jumper wire. I don't have any alligator wires because I don't. Let's see, that's on the positive. You can't see it, but trust me, that's going to the positive battery terminal. And I'm going to send some juice right to the, you see that test wire? Right to the solenoid. And that should light up. I'm scratching my positive post to make sure I have a good connection. And I've got nothing happening at any of these terminals. No ground. That should turn the solenoids on or click them or actuate them. And I've got that on the positive. You have to trust me. This little guy here is on the positive, and I could always spark it against something. Just call me old Sparky. And I'm touching this right on the edge of your screen. Let's see if I can move you over a bit. I don't think so. Nope, it's all going to go flying. I'm trying to induce. Whoop! There it goes. I knew it. I'm trying to induce. I don't have 3 hands. See, power. I'm trying to get this to go clicky clicky, like on the I Said It Was Rock video, and it doesn't. So I've got a problem. I'm not sure if, I don't think things are that badly melted, but something ain't kosher here, and I don't know how to undo that plug without yanking the wires out of their sockets. There's a giant wiring loom that runs right behind it, and this thing should unplug from that plastic socket. So what I think I'll do is get my hammer and chisel out, and I'm going to remove my snowplow from my trailer. I just fixed the trailer lights yesterday. I had corrosion because I didn't put grease on this connector. Look at that. One of the lugs just busted right off. Made in China junk. Everything is made so crappy. Just broke right off. So I cut off this one, and I cut off the other one, and now I've got lights. I've got multiple plugs here. Don't ask me why. It's just the way the truck was. It had a 4-prong plug, and I just plugged it into this giant one that I bolted onto my bumper. And now I've got stop lights and brake lights, and I am legal. I'm going to go dump this plow off in the back 40 and clean up one of my properties. Rust from sitting. This thing's been sitting. This used to be on mix match Suburban. It sat underneath the cedar hedge for 10 years and nobody stole it. I had a scraper edge from a different plow that fell off when I was plowing, and someone stole it. Oh, look at that. Nice big chunk of steel into the junkyard. My back scraping edge. My back scratcher. Uh-oh, look at that. This pin is rusted in the hole, but the locking C-clip is gone. Usually I drill that and put a cotter pin in. It's supposed to have a C-clip, but it ain't going nowhere because it's facing down, first of all, and it's rusted right into the hydraulic cylinder. So, oil leak. Next issue. I'll take my flashlight. Remember, this guy here has got a really good video. Iseta's rock. Iseta's rock. Get my flashlight. Found one of these in the garbage. It was missing one of these battery covers. Now it's missing 2. It still works. You can use it with just batteries and one of these tripod legs. Like I said, I need to get a tripod for my camera so I can do videos without making you struggle. I tightened up the bolts here yesterday. We're still leaking oil. Maybe not as much. Oh yeah, not as much, huh? Maybe that was in the cross member. But I need to put a new gasket on. I just thought I'd check it. Drip, drip. There's a high pressure line that comes out of the block. It's a tiny bit damp, but it's definitely not a leaker. And there's a return line that goes into the top of the oil pan, above the lower oil pan, into the oil pan housing. And we still got oil, maybe not as much. So maybe when I service those bushings, I'll drop the oil pan and put a bushing on this line that's loose, and put on the 2 new idlers and 2 new belts, and maybe a heater control valve, or maybe a rebuild kit. The problem with the rebuild kits, you can put a rebuild kit in. You don't even have to remove this from the vehicle. It's really tight to get it in there. You can take it apart in the vehicle. Problem is, if you break something or something's trash inside, I guess you could just block off the hoses with a 3/4 inch plug of some sort, like a spark plug. So maybe I should get some 3/4 bar stock and plug off the heater for now. That's it. I got to change that fuse and thank this fellow here, Iseta's rock, and get to work on removing the plow and look for some more real estate for sale so I can get back into business.